No, I hear you. It's Braeden Sorbo. Go follow him everywhere. SorboStudios.com is the website for he and his family. I apologize for not knowing. Sam is your mom, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I love that she is such an advocate of homeschooling, and you alluded to this. And I've had her on before, and I asked her specifically for those who are watching and listening who don't think they have the resources nor the wherewithal to do homeschooling. She made it clear that you really can if you put your mind to it. How long it was? It wasn't like an 8 or 9 hour day when you were homeschooled, right? I mean, you were able to work that around your mom and dad's schedule, right?
Well, I mean, I would wake up at 6, do all my work by myself, and be done before 10.
Nice.
I
There you
had to
go.
deal with my parents that, at 13 years old, if I finished all my schoolwork before 1 p.m., I could get an extra 30 minutes on my Xbox. And I'll tell you, that made me work.
That's a
That
good
got me
incentive.
motivated.
It's a very good incentive. So, I mean, so it's your belief. Now, I'm guessing that all of your friends are not homeschooled people because they weren't in your home being schooled. So, I'm guessing that you know people and you're friendly with people who actually went to public school or a private school out there, away from home. How different is it?
Well, I mean, I was the most introverted Sorbo kid in the three. I have two younger siblings. My brother's 19, my sister is 17, and they're both introverts, right? And I am extremely extroverted. So I never really had a problem with making friends with kids who went to public school or kids who went to private school because I would just go out and meet people, right? I had a youth group back home in California that I went to, and all it took was meeting one person there who invited me to the beach with his friends or to a party that he was throwing where I met other people who invited me to other things. And so, I mean, I've been around public schoolers my whole life, but my core group of friends here now, even though they were public schooled, they're all in the same mindset with me of we're having kids and we're going to homeschool all of them.
Yeah, and that's very smart, I think. And again, I think a lot of people find it to be daunting. They don't think that it's available to them, but I really do think that it is, and they can also go and check out what your mom puts out online, and it'll be a really good guide for them. He's a comedian, he's an actor, he's an author, and he's a great guy, an influencer over on TikTok and Instagram and elsewhere. It's Braeden Sorbo. Tell me about Left Behind. Is that out now?
So Left Behind came out in January, and we had a theatrical run with Fathom for over a month. We had phenomenal kind of acclaim that we received from that film. We had a lot of people reaching out on the Sorbo Studios website kind of saying, hey, look, you're saying exactly what we're thinking. Thank you for making movies that are fighting against the current narrative in Hollywood. And so we're releasing this next one, The Miracle in East Texas, which is a true story about the largest oil strike in the history of the world. And it's kind of got a fun twist on it, right? So it's a true story in the form of a tall tale, as we like to say. But it comes out October 28th. It's going to be in theaters. People can get their tickets on Sorbo Studios. And we really loved what Sound of Freedom did with their ability to pay it forward, where you could buy a ticket for someone else in need. And so we've instituted that on our website as well, giving a nod to them and their ingenuity. But we're really excited for this one because, as you know, Hollywood is just putting out movie after movie. I talked about it in my speech when I was at the University of Akron. There is a war against masculinity right now. I mean, Elastigirl in The Incredibles from 2004 said, leave the saving of the world to men. I don't think so, right? And every Hollywood movie since then has been a subtle nod to kind of the strength and the empowerment and the genius of women compared to their weak, kind of useless male counterparts who throw themselves down as cannon fodder for our amusement.
Right.
And it's so commonplace that we don't even notice it. I compiled together, with the help of a YouTuber named Pop Culture Detective and his video series on it, I compiled together a large kind of compilation of jokes about rape made against men, because for some reason in Hollywood it's funny if a man is the victim of sexual assault, because what happens, you can then perceive him as weaker because another man treated him as though he were inferior, and so he is now a meek kind of inferior person who is deserved of belittlement and even worse. And so I really encourage people, to fight against Hollywood and to see movies like Left Behind, which are now streaming online, or Miracle in East Texas. I mean, if people want to actually fight against what's going on in the culture today, they need to go see these movies in theaters. They can't wait for them to come out because by then it's too late.
And the way that it works, and correct me if I get this wrong, Braeden, the way that it works is if enough people go and see it, and if there's enough demand, they'll add more dates, right?
Yeah, that's what we had with Left Behind. There was such a large number of tickets sold for the opening night that the movie theaters extended it an immediate week. And by the second night, they'd already opened it up for a full month because so many people were going, and they were bringing their friends, and they were bringing their families, they were bringing their church congregations, they were bringing their neighborhoods. And we need people like that to go support movies that are fighting against the Hollywood narrative, the things that are emasculating men, that are destroying the culture, and are essentially blurring the lines between the genders so much that we can't tell what's what anymore. I mean, C.S. Lewis wrote in Abolition of Man, he goes, "We make men without chests and expect of them virtue and honor," and that's just not how it works.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I'm a big old dude. I've stood next to your dad at Mar-a-Lago. He probably has an inch on me, but I'm a 250-pound guy. I mean, I work out a lot. You're a big guy. Your dad's a big guy. You don't have to be as big as us, by the way, to be able to be out there and have the virtues of a masculine human being. You're so right. I saw a video just a couple of days ago. I don't know if you've seen this, but it was from Disney, from Walt Disney, probably in the 30s or 40s. It was an animated, I think it might have even been black and white. They took this big, strong, burly guy, put him into like a chair, almost like the electric chair that you would kill somebody who's a criminal, and they set it off, and the result was him coming out with lipstick and looking more feminine, being a little tiny person. It was like taking men in society and purposely making them less than. And it's so strange to me that anybody ever accepted that, because women, by the way, don't tell anybody, are more attracted to people who are masculine, are more attracted to people who can be hunters and gatherers and protectors and the head of the household. They really do still have that. It's inherent inside of us. But this sea change in Hollywood to say they're the anti-Braeden, they're the anti-Kevin, it doesn't make sense to me. How is that even possible that they thought that would be profitable? I know that the woke crowd is going for it, but we're seeing movies completely take a dump now. Nobody's going and seeing these movies that are all so woke.
Yeah, there is a I 100% agree with what you were saying. There is no woman who is willing to settle for a liberal man, is what I like to say, right? Inherently deep down, when it comes down to it, women want a conservative man, because they know that is the man who is going to stand up for them rather than run away in the face of danger.
Right.
And so you're seeing, like you said, the Walt Disney clip from the 40s, turning the man into, a little weak kind of small guy with lipstick on and stuff like that. We're seeing that tenfold here. I mean, my first example is the newest Thor movie, the Thor Love and Thunder. Okay. There was a scene where Thor is trapped and he's, chained up. He's like this and he's like locked in the thing. And one of the gods goes like this and all of his clothes go away and everyone kind of oogles him. And I was going to imagine if they did that to a woman in the movie.
No, forget it. You'd be canceled immediately. You couldn't do that.
No, they couldn't do that. But the thing is, they make these movies. The movies bomb because they're terrible regardless. But the investment that they receive goes up because there is a rating system called the ESG rating, which is actually a computer that kind of calculates which kind of company is the most socially progressive. And so you get these companies fighting to be the most liberal, the most progressive, the most kind of traditionalist that we have, and they're the ones receiving the most investments. So at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter if what they're making makes money. They're making money just because investors are putting money in.
So in other words, they don't care if the product is any good. They're going to get paid in the backside because they were good on DEI or ESG. Really?
Yeah, they don't care. Think of The Witcher, the Henry Cavill TV show.
Yeah.
The first season was awesome. I loved it. It was easily my favorite Netflix show. And I love watching Henry Cavill. He is a great example of a big, strong dude that's actually made to be a big, strong dude. And so it's cool for guys like me to look at him and go, all right, I want to be as big as him. Just like with people watching Hercules growing up. They look at, my dad and they go, I want to be as big as Hercules, as strong as Hercules. And so I had that. That's what I watched when I started working out. Henry Cavill was the next iteration of the big, strong guy who worked out that I was like, I want to be like him. The thing is, the showrunners for The Witcher are quoted saying during interviews, we don't really care for the source material. That right there should be enough to disqualify them as showrunners.
Right.
The only reason the show was any success for the first season was because Henry Cavill is a massive nerd who followed the books and the games as best as he could. Exactly. And they called him a misogynist for it. So he finally left. And the show bombed. The newest season, I haven't even tried to watch it because the reviews I've heard are that it's just so awful with the race swapping and the gender swapping and the kind of the political ideologies that they're throwing in your face now. I mean, the showrunners tried to make their own kind of break-off sub-season of The Witcher called The Witcher Blood Origins. And to date, I think it's Netflix's one of their lowest rated TV shows of all time. And so,
Listen, I hope they get the hint. I hope they listen to you. I hope they listen to your dad. I hope they listen to me, listen to your mom. I hope they listen to my family, because we want traditional, really good, wholesome family entertainment that makes sense. And it doesn't make sense that the superhero in almost every movie that comes out now is a female. And like you said, she's got some doofus guy who's off to the side in some weird support role. It doesn't make sense. At some point, we have to get back to what is normal and natural. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once we decide as a society that there's nothing wrong with you being big and strong and being the hunter-gatherer protector, then I think we're going to be back on track. Right now, we're so completely off kilter.
yeah, I mean, that is the problem. We have people trying to become something they're not. Like, each gender is good at imaging kind of, and I say this because this is what I speak about, is about imaging God, right? Each kind of respective gender has its own beauty in what it can do. God told Adam to subdue and fill the earth. Adam can subdue it. He can't fill the earth, right? Eve can subdue, but lacks the power to fill. They're good in their own respective senses apart, but together is when they actually shine and when they can complete the things that they've been set out to accomplish.
Very, very well said. It's Braeden Sorbo. Go and follow him everywhere. SorboStudios.com is the website, but follow him on TikTok. Is it also Braeden Sorbo on Instagram?
Braeden Sorbo everywhere. I like to make it simple for people.
Very